Hello students, myself Atanus De. In the last class, I have discussed about the stream that is commerce that you are going to pursue after your HSLC. So in that class, I have also discussed what are the different subject combination in commerce and what are the various optional subjects that you have going to have in your commerce higher secondary first year. So in that class, that is the class of accountancy for higher secondary first year commerce. So before starting the accountancy, you have to understood some of the important terms of accountancy. Okay, some of the important terms of accountancy means accountancy is fully related to business, that I have already said it. Okay, I have already told you that accountancy is fully related to business. That means business is whatever going to whatever going to happen in business, we are recorded in accountancy in monetary terms. Okay, or we can say that whatever happening in our business, if we can measure it in monetary terms, then we need accountancy. Okay, so some of the important accounting terms. Okay, first we need to understand what is business. That means business. So business means buying and selling of goods in order to earn profit. In order to earn profit, not money. Okay, because earn money is different from earn profit. So we, in simple sense, business means when a person is busy in purchasing goods, buying goods and selling to other person, it is called business. Okay, so what is the difference between buying and selling? In buy, when he buy good from other person, he will buy at low price, and at the same time when he going to sell it, he sell it higher price, and the difference between the purchase price and difference between the selling price is called profit. So the main objective of business is to earn profit. Okay, so profit means whatever the amount difference between by cost price of the good and the selling price of the goods. So now so business means buying and selling of goods. Okay, so what is goods? Goods means, that is the important term in accountancy as well as in business. Okay, goods and service. So business is not only selling goods but also service. Suppose the transportation service, that means the রেলওয়ে সার্ভিস। সো রেলের সার্ভিসের মধ্যে কি হয় যে আমরা রেলে বসে এক জায়গা থেকে অন্য জায়গায় যাই। সো ইন দ্যাট সার্ভিস ওই আমরা কোনো কিছু পাই না। ওকে, আমরা কোনো গুডস কি পারচেজ করি না, আমরা কোনো গুডস সেল করি না, বাট তারা যে আমাদেরকে সার্ভিসটা প্রোভাইড করে এর এগেনস্টে আমরা ওদেরকে টাকা দেয়। সো দিস ইজ অলসো business. So business means buying and selling of goods and services in order to earn profit. So goods, service, we know what is service. Service means the way we serve the people. Okay, and the goods means, what is goods? Goods means any things or any article which is purchased by the business for the purpose of resale. That means if a person purchase a thing, purchase a thing, then if he sells to another person, then it is called goods. Okay, so anything which is purchased by business in order to resell, it is called business. Suppose it is a marker, and if a person, for me it is a marker. Okay, but for library person, he purchase it from another person and sells it to another person. In such a case, for him it's goods. Okay, suppose there is a furniture dealer. What is his business? His business is to purchase furniture and sells to another person. In such a case, it is the furniture for him, the goods. Okay, so goods means any article or anything or any item which is purchased by the business in order to resell to another person. Okay, anything which is purchased by the business in order to resell to another person, this thing or this article is termed as goods. Goods may be anything. Goods may be a chair, goods may be furniture, goods may be a mobile, goods may be a computer, anything. That means the anything which is purchased for the purpose of resale, it is called goods. Okay, so goods, clear? Okay, so whenever we are going to start a business, we need certain amount, because no one can start a business without any money or without any amount, and this amount is called capital. This amount is called capital. Okay, so capital means capital means any amount. Capital means any amount which is brought by the owner, which is brought by the owner in order to start or commence, in order to start and commence the business. Okay, so what is capital? The capital means that amount which is needed in order to start the business, and this amount is provided by the owner of the business, and the owner of the business is also known by the proprietor. The owner of the also known by proprietor. Proprietor. Okay, so the proprietor term is, who is a proprietor? The proprietor means the owner of the business and the businessman. Okay, so whenever he going to start a business, he needs certain amount, and this amount is called capital, because capital is brought into business in order to start the business or in order to run the business for a particular period. So capital means any amount which is brought by the owner in order to start or commence the business. Okay, suppose Mr. Ram started a business with a cash of rupees 10,000. Okay, that means Mr. Rame কি করেছে, বিজনেস স্টার্ট করার সময় 10,000 টাকা দিয়ে বিজনেস স্টার্ট করেছে. In such a case, it is the amount of 10,000 which is capital. Okay, so clear? Capital means any amount which is brought in or which is bring in by the owner in order to start a business. Okay, next, one of the important terms in accountancy, that is transaction or transactions. Okay, so transactions in simple Bengali language lenden. Okay, so what is transactions? Transaction means exchange of goods and services measurable in terms of money. That means when we purchase goods from one person, so what was that? In one person sells the goods to me, and I purchase the goods from him. So it is the exchange of goods and services between us. And so transaction means any amount, any event or anything that exchanges. Transaction means the exchange of goods and services measurable in terms of money. Okay, that means Ram sell goods to Sham, amounted to rupees 5,000. That means Ram কার কাছে গুডস সেল করেছে? শ্যামের কাছে. কত টাকার গুডস? 5,000. Okay, so if we take this point, we find that what is the that Ram sell goods to Sham amount to rupees 5,000. That we can measure it in terms of money. So it is transaction. Transaction means any event which affects the financial position of a person. In such a case, Ram get 5,000 from Sham. Ram gets 5,000 from Sham, so it affects the financial position of both the person. Okay, in first case, Ram received the money, so his financial position increases, And in second case, Ram paid to Sham, that means his financial position decreases. Okay, so transaction means any event or any situation that affect the financial position of a person, or the exchange of goods and services measurable in terms of money. So there is a two definition of transaction. The one is exchange of goods and services, exchange of goods and services between two persons measurable in terms of money. Because if it is not, if we can't measure in terms of money, then it is not transaction. Okay, suppose for example, okay, so suppose Ram going to market. In such a case, Ram is going to market, Ram is going to market. So Ram is going to market, that means here Ram market যাচ্ছে. So in such a case we cannot measure it in terms of money, so it is not a transaction. Similarly the other one is the boys are playing football. Okay, so that means the boys are playing football. So can we say that transaction? No, because it cannot affect the financial position of a person, because they are playing football and nothing is happened in their financial position. So transaction means any event or any situation, any activity which affects the financial position of a person. Okay, so transaction, there is two definitions of transaction. The first one is the exchange of goods and services between two persons measurable in terms of money. Okay, so before understood the term transaction clear, I have to clear two more definition, that is the event. Okay, so what is event? So actually I have already discussed what is business. So business means exchange of goods and services, purchase and buying and selling of goods and services in order to earn a profit. In such a case we can say that business is an economic activity. Business is an economic activity. Okay, so what is economic activity? Economic activity means that any activity which is related to money, any activity which is related to money, or any activity which is undertaken in order to earn money. That means আমরা ইনকাম করার জন্য যে activity করি, this is called economic activity. And what is non-economic activity? Non-economic activities are those activity which are undertaken in order to get mental satisfactions. Okay, like playing football. Okay, so playing football. So is it economic activity? No, because it is not economic activity, because we are not playing we are playing football not for earning money. Okay, just to stay fit, just in order to get mental satisfaction, in order to get psychological satisfaction. Okay, so economic activity, business is an economic activity. And if we can classify the activity, then we find there are two types of activity. One is economic activity, that means the activities which are undertaken in order to earn money. And another is non-economic activity, that means the activity which are undertaken not to earn money in order to get satisfaction, like mental satisfaction and psychological satisfaction. Okay, next one important terms is event. Okay, event. So event means anything that happens in our life. Okay, event means anything that happens in our life. Okay, suppose it is a rainy season now, so there is a provision of that the flood. Okay, so if it is flood, then it is an event. Okay, so anything that happens in our life, it is an event. Like if যদি আমাদের বাড়িতে কোনো বিয়া ম্যারেজ ceremony থাকে, then it is an event. So if we can classify event, there are two types of events. Okay, one is monetary event. one is monetary event and another is non-monetary event. One is monetary event and another is non-monetary event. So what is monetary event? Monetary event are those event which changes our financial position, and non-monetary event are those event which does not changes our financial position. Okay, so for example, one monetary event is that expenses on daily marketing. Okay, expenses on daily marketing. Suppose a person incurs certain amount on his daily marketing. Okay, so in such a case, every day his financial position gets affected, so it is a monetary event. Okay, and the same person is walking in sorry, the same person is playing cricket every day. Okay, so first one is the monetary event and second one is the non-monetary event. So what is monetary event? Monetary event are those events which changes our financial position. That means a person incurred certain amount a daily কিছু একটা amount a daily marketing এর উপর খরচ করে. Okay, so in such a case his financial condition gets affected daily, so it is a monetary event. And the same person is playing cricket every day, so if he plays cricket, then his financial position is not affected. In such a case, it is a non-monetary event. So an event means anything that happens in our life or anything that happens in our business life. Okay, so if we can further classify the event, there are two types of event. One is monetary event and another is non-monetary event. Okay, so what is monetary event? Monetary event are those events which are measurable in terms of money or which affects our financial position. Okay, for example, a person incurs rupees 50 on his daily market, so in every day his financial position gets affected, and his events can be measurable in terms of money. That means the amount of rupees 50. So in such a case, it is a monetary event for him. And non-monetary event means that any event which cannot measure in terms of money and which not affect the financial position of a person. For example, the same person is playing cricket every day. So event are of two types. There is monetary event and another is non-monetary event. So if we can consider, then we can say that transaction is a monetary event. Okay, why transaction is a monetary event? Because transaction means any situation that affects our financial position or exchange of goods and services measurable in terms of money. So it is the transaction which is directly related to money because it affects our financial position, so it is a monetary event. Okay, so transaction is a monetary event. Now what is transaction? Transaction means what is transaction? What is transaction? Transaction means exchange of goods and services measurable in terms of money. Or we can say that any event means anything that happens in our life. So an event means a situation, any event which affects the financial position of a person financial position of a person, financial position of a person is called transaction. So this is one of the important term in accountancy, because what we are going to record in accountancy, we are going to record all the transactions that happens in an accounting year. Remember, what all the transactions that are measurable in terms of money, we are going to record it in our accountancy. Okay, so what is transaction? Transaction means exchange of goods and services measurable in terms of money. This point is important, that whatever is the exchange, if we can measure it in terms of money, then it is transaction, and if we cannot measure it in terms of money, then it is not transaction. Or any event which changes the financial position of a person, it called transaction. Okay, so this is the definition of transaction. If you want, then you can write it. Okay, so next, features of transaction. Features of transaction. Okay, so for the students who are in English medium, you know the term features, and for Bengali medium, the term feature means বৈশিষ্ট্য. বৈশিষ্ট্য. Okay, in Bengali we find the one term বৈশিষ্ট্য. That means what are the elements of transaction, and what are the things that we find in transaction. Okay, so if we go for detailed analysis of the transaction, then what are the things and what are the items we can find in that definition. Okay, so what is transaction, and what are these features? If we remember the definition of transaction, then we can easily write the features of transaction. We can easily understand the features of transaction. Okay, so what is transaction? Transaction means exchange of goods and services measurable in terms of money. So the first feature is exchange of goods and services. Exchange of goods and services measurable in terms of money. So this is the first element, this is the first features of transaction, that is exchange of goods and services measurable in terms of money. Because if you cannot measure it in terms of money, then it is not transaction. Okay, suppose a person sells goods to another person for rupees 10,000, then it is transaction. And if a person handshakes with him, then it is not a transaction, because we cannot measure that handshake in terms of money. So the transaction means the exchange of goods and services measurable in terms of money. Then what are the other features of transaction? So second feature is that there must be two parties in transaction. There must be two parties in a transaction. Okay, so it is another important feature of transaction, because if there is no another party, then there is no exchange of goods and services. And so there must be two parties in a transaction, must be two parties, because a single party, the single party will not be able to do any transaction, because there is only one party. So there must be two parties in a transaction. A person alone cannot do any transaction, there must be two parties. So the second feature is that there must be two parties in a transaction. Next, what? The transaction must affect the financial position of a person. Okay, so transaction must affect the financial position. Transaction must affect the financial position of a person. Okay, So whenever any transaction occurs, it must affect the financial position of a person. If it does not affect the financial position of a person, then we cannot consider it as transaction. Okay, suppose a person sells goods to another person for rupees 5,000. In such a case, he received 5,000 from another person, so his financial position gets improved. So it is the transaction which affects the financial position of a person. Okay, and the next point is transaction must be financial in nature. Transaction must be financial in nature. That means the transaction must be measurable in terms of money. If it is not related with money, if it is not related with finance, then we cannot consider it as transaction. So these are the main four important features of the transaction. The first one is that transaction means transaction is that exchange of goods and services measurable in terms of money, because if we cannot measure in terms of money, then it is not a transaction. And the second one is that there must be two parties in a transaction, because a single person alone cannot do any transaction. There must be two parties. From one party he purchases goods, and from one person he purchases goods, and for him he sells goods. So there must be two parties in a transaction. Third one is that transaction must affect the financial position of a person. That means whenever his person sells goods, then his financial position gets improved, because in return of that he receives some money. Okay, and the next one is that transaction must be financial in nature or must be monetary in nature. That means whatever amount of the transaction we could measure it in terms of money. If we cannot measure it in terms of money, then it is not a transaction. Okay, so all of you should note it, the features of transaction, or what are the elements of transaction. Okay, so I'm going to erase it. Okay, so transaction means the transaction in our business. It is the transaction that happens daily in our business. Okay, it is the transaction that happens daily in our business. For example, this is the person A and this is the person B. Okay, A sells goods and B purchase goods. Okay, A sells goods and B purchase goods. B purchases goods. So it is termed as business. Okay, so business means buying and selling of goods. So in such a situation, it is the person A who sells goods to B, and it is the B who purchases goods from the A. So in such a cases, they both are doing business. Okay, so is it possible to purchase goods and sales goods always in cash? No, because in our daily life we find that there is not only the cash transaction, but there is also credit transaction. That means bakite kina bakite sell kora. Okay, so transaction, whenever the transaction happens in business, maybe it credit transaction or maybe it cash transaction. Okay, so cash transaction means the in such a case, A sells goods and B purchases goods, it is cash. Okay, so he receives cash and he pays cash. But if it is a credit transaction, that means A sells goods to B on credit and B purchases goods to from A on credit. Okay, and later B will pay to A. Okay, so transactions are of two types. One is cash transaction and another is credit transaction. Cash transaction means whenever any party made payment immediately to another person, it is called cash payment or cash transaction. And the credit transaction means whenever the person will pay the amount, will purchase the goods or will sell the goods, but the amount will be paid or amount will be received in future date, it is called credit transaction. Okay, so it is not possible for the business to sell goods or to purchase goods always in cash. In such a situation, they have to purchase goods in various they have to purchase goods on credit. That means bakite goods purchase kora. Okay, so whenever they're going to purchase on credit on cash, they have to record it in their books of accounts, and it is called accounting. So okay, so here we find that a person A sells goods to B, and what is B doing? B is purchases goods from A. B is purchases goods for A. Okay, and the transaction is credit transaction, and the transaction is credit transaction. That means the A will receive the amount in future date, and B will pay the amount to A on some future date. Okay, so it is the credit transaction. Okay, so if it is credit transaction, that means A sells goods to B on credit for him for A. B is sundry debtor. B is sundry debtor. Sundry debtor. Okay, A sell goods to B on credit. In such a case, B is sundry debtor for A. Okay, and B purchases goods from the A and on credit, so A is sundry creditor. So here we find two new items, that is, one is sundry debtor and another is sundry creditors. Okay, so if we follow these whole things, we find that A sell goods to B. A sell goods to B on credit. A sell goods to B on credit. That means যে সময় A বাকিতে B কে goods sell করেছে, so B is the sundry debtor for A. Okay, so what is sundry debtor and what is sundry debtor? What is the definition of sundry debtor? Sundry debtor means the person or the organization. Okay, if B may be the organization like A limited, sorry, A enterprise. Okay, suppose A sell goods to A enterprise. In such a case, A enterprise or the person B both are sundry debtor. So sundry debtor may be a single person or an enterprise or an organization. Okay, so what is sundry debtor? What is the definition of sundry debtor? Sundry debtor means that those persons to whom we sell goods on credit, and the amount will be received in future date. Okay, so it is the sundry debtor. And what is the sundry creditor? Sundry creditor means the person or organization B enterprise, if you can write it B enterprise or A. So the definition of sundry creditor is that the person from whom we purchase goods on credit, it is called sundry creditor, and amount will be paid in the future date. Okay, so there is two terms, one is sundry debtor and another is sundry creditor. What is sundry debtor? Sundry debtor means the persons to whom we sell goods on credit. That means যে কোনো পার্সন কিংবা যে কোনো অর্গানাইজেশন কিংবা যে কোনো একটা এন্টারপ্রাইজ, যে কোনো একটা বিজনেসকে আমরা যে সময় বাকিতে সেল করি, অ্যান্ড ওই টাকাটা আমাদেরকে ফিউচারে পেমেন্ট করবে। ওকে, সো দ্যাট মিনস হোয়েন এভার উই সেল গুডস অন ক্রেডিট, আমরা সময় বাকিতে সেল করি, দ্যাট পার্সন ইজ আওয়ার সান্ড্রি ডেটার। ওকে, অ্যান্ড if we purchase the goods from another persons on credit, that means আমরা ওর কাছ থেকে গুডস বাকিতে পারচেজ করেছি, and the টাকা আমরা কবে পেমেন্ট করব? ফিউচারে পেমেন্ট করব। In such a case, it is we are sundry creditor for him. Sorry, he is sundry creditor for us. Okay, so there are two terms, one is sundry debtor and sundry creditor. So in simple language, sundry debtor means to the persons and the organizations or the organization to whom we sell goods on credit. And who are sundry creditors? Sundry creditors means the persons or the organization to whom from whom we purchase goods on credit. Okay, so the first one is the sundry debtor. Okay, so sundry debtor means the persons or organizations or enterprises to whom we sell goods on credit. Okay, for example, Ram sell goods to Rahim for rupees 500 on credit. Okay, so Ram sell goods to Rahim for rupees 500 on credit. So for Ram, Rahim is the sundry debtor because he sell goods to the Rahim on credit. So what is the definition of sundry debtor? Sundry debtor means the person or organization or enterprises to whom we sell goods on ক্রেডিট। দ্যাট মিনস আমরা সময় বাকিতে কোনো পার্সনকে কিংবা কোনো ব্যক্তিকে কিংবা কোনো অর্গানাইজেশনকে আমরা বাকিতে সেল করব, তখন ওই পার্সন কিংবা ওই অর্গানাইজেশনটা আমাদের জন্য সান্ড্রি ডেটার। ওকে, সো for example, Ram sell goods to Rahim for rupees 500 on credit. So in such a cases, Rahim is the sundry debtor for Ram. Okay, so clear? So you can note it in your copy. Next, what is the another term? Sundry creditor. Sundry creditor. What is sundry creditor? Sundry creditor means the person or organization or enterprises from whom we purchase goods on credit. Sundry debtors, the first one is when we sell goods on credit, and the second one is when we purchase goods on credit. Okay, so the example is say Ram sell goods to Rahim for rupees 500 on credit. We can write it as Rahim purchases goods from Ram for rupees 500 on credit. Okay, so it's the same transaction. Okay, so in first one is Ram sell goods, that means the Rahim purchases goods. Okay, so Rahim purchases goods from Ram for rupees 500. So in such a case we find that he purchases goods from Ram. So Ram is the sundry creditor for Rahim. Okay, so clear? The first one is the sundry debtor. That means when we sell goods and when we sell goods or services to another person, to any organization and to any enterprise on credit, it is called, the person or the organization is called sundry debtor for us. And when we purchase goods from any person, from any organization or for any enterprise, that person and that organization is called sundry creditor for us. So these are the some of the important terms that we find in accountancy. There are so many more accounting terms, so we will discuss in our next classes. Okay, so today we learned some of the items. The first one is what is proprietor, what is capital. Okay, so capital means any amount which is brought in by the businessman or the owner of the organization or proprietor of the organization in order to start a business. That means যে সময় কোনো একজন মানুষ একটা বিজনেস, কোনো একজন ব্যক্তি বিজনেস স্টার্ট করার সময় যে টাকাটা নিয়ে আসে ওটাকে ক্যাপিটাল বলা হয়। ওকে, so next one is the what is transaction. So before transaction we discussed to another term. One is the event, that means anything that happens in our life, anything that happens in business life, and we can further classify event in two terms, that is one is monetary event and another is non-monetary event. The monetary event means the events which affects our financial position is called monetary event, like expenses on our daily marketing, because it affects our financial position. And the non-monetary event is that event which does not affect our financial position. Suppose a person playing cricket every day, in such a case it does not affect his financial position. And the transaction is the monetary event that affects our financial position. And transaction is very much important in this sense, because in business, in our accountancy, what are we going to record? It is the transaction. Okay, so transaction means exchange of goods and services measurable in terms of money, or any monetary event which affects our financial position. That means transaction is directly related to money. If we cannot measure any transaction in terms of money, then it is not transaction for us, and it does not affect our business, and hence it will not be recorded in our business. Okay, and if we further classify, if we take example, then we can find that transactions are of two types. One is cash transaction and another is credit transactions. What is cash transaction? That means when we purchase goods or sell goods, যে সময় কোনো জিনিস একটা বাকিতে কিনে বা বাকিতে সেল করি, it is called credit transaction. When we purchase goods and sell goods on cash and by cash, it is called cash transaction. Okay, so what next we discuss another two important terms, that is sundry debtor and sundry creditor. So what is sundry debtor? Sundry debtor means the persons, the organizations to whom we sell goods. যে সময় আমরা কোনো একজন ব্যক্তিকে কিংবা কোনো একজন একটা সংস্থাকে আমরা বাকিতে সেল করি, একটি পার্টিকুলার বাকিতে সেল করি গুডস কিংবা কোনো জিনিস, তখন ওই পার্সনকে, ওই ব্যক্তিকে, ওই সংস্থাকে, অর্গানাইজেশনকে আমরা সানড্রি ডেটর বলবো। At the same time, when we purchase goods, because business is not only related to cash, because there are some credit transaction. That means sometimes we have to sell goods on credit and sometimes we have to purchase goods on credit. So while purchasing, if we purchase it on credit from another person, from another organization, in such a case that organization and that person is sundry creditor for us. So these are the two main some of the important terms in accountancy. The first one is the capital, second one is the goods. Goods means anything, any article, any item which is brought by the business in order to resell, not for its use, in order to resell. Okay, next capital, next sundry debtor and sundry creditor, and another important term is transactions that we have learned today. Okay, so in the next class we will discuss some other important terms in accountancy. Okay, so till then, goodbye.